Ain't got no kids yet, but
Got two.
got one line. According to mine, is showing only one. It's probably an Emmy. Ain't got no kids yet. That's us. We making noise. Do as I started to say. When you're doing, I'll let you go through these, and I'll let you do the first story after I do our announcements in my net and rave and gun shows and what happened this weekend. How's that sound to you?
All right.
Okay, kiddies, we are here. Mr. T could not make it. No, the bear didn't get him. I saw him yesterday, and he told me he might not be able to make it because he needed to have a farmer come down with his tractor to help him take some bales of hay out of his barn for his brother-in-law, who seems to be having a severe health issue in the I don't know how to call it. It's, problems with his brain, in his brain. Okay. When Mr. T gets here next week, he can go into details on that if he would so like. And but I'm getting the gun shows organized here, folks. So anyhow, I saw him and I talked to him yesterday, and I was down at Hermitage, PA at the Hickory VFW.
I have to interject something. I can't let you go any farther. Mr. T, the reason he's not here, he told me he lied to you.
Oh, he lied to me.
Yes. I talked to him earlier today. Apparently he got his nipples pierced over the week and then one of them got infected.
Oh my God.
So, don't let Daryl lie to you about Mr. T's
Well, I'm not lying. I'm only telling you what he told me. If that ain't right, then he didn't tell me right.
Sorry, Mr. T.
But Mr. T, if that is the case, you got infection, bathe it with some alcohol. That'll clear it up fast.
In piercings, it's always good to use sea salt.
Yeah.
It draws out. Anyway, back to your...
Anyway, I was at a gun show down in Hermitage, PA, which I ran into Mr. T yesterday, and he never said a word about that. Must have had it. Must have found out it was infected today.
Must have.
A rather good show. I took a double barrel 12 gauge flintlock that I bought many years ago, that I used a couple 3 years to go turkey hunting with, until my friggin' leg, or my right knee and back got so bad I couldn't walk into the woods to where I'd like to go for turkey. So that kind of put the kiboshes to that. Yes, sir, the young man in the 15th row up there, third from the end.
I just want to throw this out because I'll forget if I don't bring it up. I saw 20 turkeys, 15 to 20 turkeys on my way over here today.
Oh, you did?
Up at the intersection where Town Line and 27 come together, there's that big field that, right where that field on the right butts up with the tree line. There was a whole line of them come walking out of the woods. So, and some of them had beards. So I'm guessing they were.
Well, they haven't shaved for a long time. They got beards.
But they all seem fairly, they're not little, but probably young.
There's probably a lot of. It's too early yet for the hatchlings. They were probably last year's.
Probably.
Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to, so you could tell young Daryl.
Quite often, I'll tell him. Quite often, I will, 2 or 3 times I've been up to our new undisclosed location, and was in there working, and I stepped outside, and there's a string of them going across the road, right 20 feet from our from the trailer. So, anyhow, had a good show. I did sell that. I sold $400, $500 worth of other merchandise. So I was able to put $500. Actually, I was able to put $560 in the till for the taxes. So I'm halfway. But in the meantime, I got first section of this year's taxes in the mail, and they raised my taxes, if I remember it, I haven't double checked, but it looked like it was about $50 more than was last year. Yeah, dicks. Anyway, so, I am still in urgent need of any help I can get so I can get this one done and jump on this next one. This next one is a combined total of $1,100 or $1,050. The next fall I'll get the other one, the other shoe for $1,500 and some dollars. Now this is for my property here where I live. At the undisclosed location, my son takes care of that because the deed for that place is in his name. So he takes care of that and he does a right nice job. So I'm not begging for help there, but I am begging for help here, and I hope it goes well. Let's see, we got a bunch. Let's see what I got here. It says, "Hi, Scott. Hello, party people." That's you.
That's me.
And then I got it from Jack Flash. "Hey, Scott and Nero. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, bud.
Hold on, mi amigo.
Yes, hold on to your wallet, because the government's coming. The tax collector is coming in one way, shape, or form or another. But anyway, I am pissed. And you're probably going to say, after selling $1,000 worth of merchandise over the weekend, you think, why would you be pissed? Well, I come home last night after selling a bunch of stuff. I decided I better order some more stuff for the next show so I can get it in for the next show. And for some reason or other, something in my head told me to call the credit card to double check my balance so I know how much I can, get. The sons of bitches, I sent them a $400 wire transfer last week. I got an email last Saturday night that they got my transfer. Okay? They told me in that email it would take 24 to 48 hours to get credited to my card. Okay? Come Tuesday at noon, I called and it got credited to my card. So I ordered some merchandise and didn't think any more of it. Then Saturday night, I was going to, like I said, I was going to order some more merchandise to replace some of the stuff that I sold. And lo and behold, them little sons of bitches, and when I called them, they said, "We gotta send you to account representative." Okay, that tells me something's screwed up.
Yep.
Okay, so I went, got this, sorry Emmy, I don't like to use the word, but I got some foreign cunt, could barely speak English, probably out of India or Pakistan, who got on there and I was asking her, why is it that you're telling me that I am $200 and some over my limit when I sent you $400 and I only ordered about $200 worth of merchandise? Okay, now the $400 that I sent them. Well, we couldn't find your account. What? Wait a minute. You got my electronic transfer? Yes. You credited to my account? Yes. Okay. Then why is it that I'm overdrawn or over my limit? Oh, we couldn't find your account, so we sent it back. I said, well, when did they do that? Well, we just did that today. I'm going, wait a minute. Let's back the horse up and let's start this all over again here. I got an email that you got the payment. Yep. I waited until Tuesday to check to see if it was credited, and it was credited. Yes. So that means that if I sent it to you and you got it, you know whose account it was because it had a number to go to. Alright? And you credited it, sometime Monday night or Tuesday morning or in the middle of the night, whatever, I don't give a shit, man, but you credit it to my account. Yes, so that means you found my account. Well, no, we couldn't find your account. Well, wait a minute, the account showed that you found it.
How weird.
Okay, so I go through this thing where there are 2 or 3 times, and I says, you know what? I think I'm just gonna call my bank, or go down and see my bank, because you can't find my account, even though you credited my account for it, and then you took the money out and sent it back to my bank. So how do you know to take it out of, how do you know to take it out of my account and send it back to my bank if you can't find my account? Okay?
That sounds like who's on first routine.
Yeah, who's on first? Who's on first? I don't know. No, I don't know who's on second. Who's on first? And so, anyway, folks, I'm a little ticked because now I have to make an extra trip to the friggin' bank tomorrow to find out what this stupid shit is, because all this electronic stuff is supposed to be so nice and convenient and easy. Well, it was easy when I sent to do the stuff on the computer to send it through. That was easy. But somebody in the meantime has got their head wired up their ass or something like that, and anyway, I'm ready. I'm ready to go posted though. It's funny and it's not. I gotta laugh at it or I'm gonna explode. So you kids in the chat room, you can you can go and listen to what I'm saying, or you can make fun of it, whatever. But technology, because last week somebody said something about not knowing technology ain't worth shit. It is not worth the powder to blow it up. So therefore, I'll use one of my high-speed wireless devices to do it. And at that point, Scotty, I'll give you the floor so I can calm down.
Enjoy your cocktail. It's you can get 2 of these for $4 down at Tops.
What's the alcohol content?
8%.
Tops.
The Tops Market, they have the
Yeah.
beer section.
Yeah.
You can buy these single.
I'm registering it. Tops. What's the name of this?
This is called Steel Reserve Spiked. They have like 5 or 6 different
I got
flavors.
Steel Reserve. I got lots of Steel Reserve.
They have like a watermelon flavor, a blue raspberry flavor, all kinds of different flavors.
I like blueberry.
They don't have blueberry.
I like grape.
They don't have grape.
I like orange.
They don't have orange.
I like pineapple.
They do have a pineapple.
They have a banana.
They don't have a banana. This is a spiked punch.
I know. What's it spiked?
Alcohol.
95% gin.
I mean, for what it is, I like it in the summertime after after going to the gym, nice hot day.
Yeah, Emmy was making a comment about my shit here. She goes, but Daryl, cash is dirty, so we need to use debit cards because of the virus. Fuck the virus. Oh, by the way, 2 guys from the Metro were down there soliciting people's signatures for the state sanctuary thing. They were supposed to listen in and say hi when they got on the air.
Speaking of this nonsense with the coronavirus, you just be careful, people, but did you hear anyone talking about that idiot woman in the stupid video that's going around?
I haven't seen that.
Oh, Jesus. I've heard different guys talking about it. This woman was, I think she's like a political person, supposed to be educated. She's giving this speech on what you're supposed to do, wash your hands. Do this. Don't touch your face. Keep your hands away from your eyes, because that's how. Meanwhile, as she's reading her notes, she's licking her fingers to flip the pages. I'm like, you're an idiot.
Stupid is as stupid does.
At any rate, this is an article out of the Western Journal by Carmine Sabia. Apparently, leftists are furious after seeing Pence's all-male task force. Then they lose all hope when they start to pray. Okay, the left will use any reason to hate on Vice President Mike Pence, Christianity, and white males, even during a pandemic. On Wednesday, the Vice President shared a photo of his coronavirus task force meeting, and MSNBC's Stephanie Ruhle was among those who immediately attacked. Today, we had a very productive meeting of the White House coronavirus task force in the Situation Room, Pence tweeted. We placed additional travel restrictions on Iran, and we are increasing the travel advisory to level 4, urging Americans not to travel to specific regions in Italy and South Korea. I gotta talk about Italy here in a second. Okay, apparently, it goes on to say, where are the women, Ruhle replied, as if the vice president has time to worry about making certain every group is represented in order to fight a worldwide virus. Could you dig up one woman, at least? Or would Mother not allow it? Feminist activist Amy Siskind wrote. But the left saved its really vile comments for when a photo of the vice president daring to pray with his team was shared. Mike Pence and his coronavirus emergency team praying for a solution. We are so screwed, New York Times Magazine writer Thomas Chatterton Williams said. It is a sad day in America when the act of appealing to our Lord for help is seen as worthy of mockery. It is because many leftists do not comprehend what prayer means to us and what prayer is all about. We are not praying for God to swoop in and cure the disease for us. We are praying for him to grant our doctors, scientists, and researchers the wisdom to fix it. We are praying for the strength to deal with this crisis and for those who are afflicted to be helped in their struggle. Many of these people do not believe in God because they have treated him like the genie in the magic lamp in the past, and they did not get what they wanted when they made a wish. That is not how it works. It has never been how prayer works. And it is telling that when you see them mock a photo of a group of people praying, those people are almost always Christians. Because rather than going on the attack against them, we will pray for them that someday they find the light of Jesus and be saved. The article originally appeared in the Western Journal.
Do any of you, if any of you come to the conclusion that since God created us, he hasn't put up with a lot of our shit, okay? We might be approaching the beginning of end times, and these are the warning signs that if you don't straighten your shit up, nasty things worse than the coronavirus are coming your way.
Well, as a young man in my teens, I was pretty active in the church. I'm no longer. I'm a godless heathen, as I call myself. But I was very sad as a young man because I didn't have a lot of friends. And I remember praying the one time, I just want some good friends. I just want a close friend. And shortly thereafter, I met you. So I don't know whether I got what I deserved or not. Oh, going back to the Italy bit, I work at the Westbury Nursing Home in the area, and every year, or a couple times a year, they put on trips. It's used as a marketing tool to get people, usually people with a fair amount of wealth, to learn about Westbury and buy into it, donate, what have you. And it usually works. And also they make a decent little lump of change that goes into the benevolent fund to help people. Well, big problem. My wife also works there, and she's one of the ones responsible for organizing a good portion of this trip. Her and her boss and the rest of their office. Well, before all this coronavirus come up, like, they start planning these trips like 8-9 months in advance. Because, I mean, you got your passports, you got a whole plane load of people, yada, yada, yada. Well, the big trip for this spring is Italy. It was. Well, they haven't officially canceled it, they just postponed it for the foreseeable future, which put everybody into overdrive because originally, it was before that the Italy started like doing the quarantine. Delta is who are flying. They're flying with had stopped all flights going into Italy. So, my wife and her boss and other people in her office went into overdrive earlier this week and had to start calling people and telling people who spent $4,000 or $5,000 at least, you're gonna not be able to do this. And I guess all but like one or two people were like, we understand, we watch the news, keep us in the loop, we'll figure it out. But I guess there was a couple that were just flat out nasty.
You got that kind of don't understand. They're so greedy and outlook on their self. They're so selfish they don't think of anybody else. Now that I made that statement, I do have to throw this in. If you have been paying attention to the national snooze, they last week stated that there was, hi Booger. No, they didn't say last week there was Booger. That's my dog Layla, she just come in. They stated that there was 100,000 cases worldwide. 50,000 are apparently cured of it, the other 50,000 are still in process, and only 3,000 have died from it. Okay, so that means that about 3% fatality, except for when you get into the older population. They haven't said what the age group of the 3% is, how big it is. If you got to look at a model to find out, you take a look at Seattle at that nursing home there, where they've had, I think it's now 11 of the 17 deaths in the United States from the virus has all been in that one nursing home, where all those people have lung problems and other severe health issues.
Well, working in a nursing home, every year when the flu season hits, it ain't no joke. We go to great lengths. We have a red light, yellow light, green light system where green light's all good. Everyone's healthy. Yellow light, there's certain precautions. Red light is when you're basically quarantined. And it's in influenza just tears up the older people, right? And even if you make it through, you get the flu in that age population and you make it through, it's still, you never come back to 100% of your baseline. It always takes a little bit of wind out of your
baseline.
It takes some wind out of your sails.
Yeah. Well, I know all about that when I had that E. coli here 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I know all about that, taking the wind out of your sails, because after that, I'm alive today 2 years later, but I have less stamina now than I did before that. And my lungs are good, fortunately. Otherwise, I probably would not have been here because of that. Plus the fact, surviving two episodes of embolism in both lungs at the same time, surviving 2 of those is, I won't call it a miracle, but somebody upstairs is watching out for me. The same guy that sent you to me or me to you.
Well, I think it's not so much that he's looking out for you, he's probably still trying to punish me for something. So what do you think of the spiked punch?
Hey, I like it.
Like I said, it's you get 2 of these for $4.
Used to go to parties and spike it ourselves, but it was always funny flavored because you never knew what was being poured in it. Jack Daniels, Southern Comfort, Recon Jack.
Oh, no, let's not go there. We're not gonna talk about that evil
You know what I talk about? Uke the puke?
No.
Anyway, well, while we got a break, I also wanted to tell you, a lot of the news is harping on this because it is an attempt to discredit Trump in the handling of this outbreak. Trump admitted, we were not prepared for this. We did not get any warning sign of it until after it was starting to become a problem for China. Then they finally admitted, and as time went on, as people, oh my God!
Clear.
Yeah. As time went on, they finally admitted as to how bad the outbreak was. Then they finally admitted as to where it was at and what biological facility was there, where it was at, the center of it. And then if you all remember, when Trump put a travel ban of people coming in from certain countries, when the announcement of this was spreading, he put a travel ban in. Well, all the Democrats, well, that was racist, you should have never done it. Now they're saying, well, the U.S. wasn't prepared, it's all Trump's fault because the U.S. wasn't prepared for it. Okay? And now they're trying to equate the manufacturer who manufactured, I don't know, 750,000 of these test kits. They were contaminated, so they're trying to blame him on it, or him for it, and all this kind of stuff. And he had no hesitation, and when Congress finally authorized some money to help fight this, he had no hesitation to sign it.
He even gave up this quarter's salary to go for it.
He donated $100,000 of his salary to go for it, and but nobody is making any points for Trump. Not that Trump is good, don't get me wrong. It's just that, and I know there are people who don't like him, he's not going to please 100%. Okay, he's not going to please 100%. Even Jesus Christ, who could walk on water, could not please 100% of the population because they ended up killing him. You in the back row there.
I got a little blasphemy for you.
A little blasphemy?
Yeah. Do you know I know Jesus isn't coming back? Because he got holes in his feet. He can't walk on water. I know, that was terrible.
That's the only problem with this stuff. It's got a hole in the glass.
Got a hole in the glass. I'll have to remember to start bringing this over more often.
And it seems to have a way of finding that hole and leaking out.
It certainly does.
Fortunately, I'm able to catch it with my mouth so it doesn't go to waste.
Speaking of immigration, I want to read an article.
Oh, they call
Off
me
of-
Curly Joe.
Well, I did this.
Yeah.
This is off of Breitbart. Let's see, where is it? Pardon me.
See, you had it and you
Wait.
lost it. Alright, well, while you're doing that, I'll do the gun show so you can catch up.
Yep.
Yep. Catch up. Okay, next weekend, folks, I will be down at Rocky Grove, down in Franklin. There's a small bird called Rocky Grove right next to Franklin. So you go down there, it's not hard to find. Just if you get there and you don't see any signs, just ask for Rocky Grove gun show, and people should be able to direct you from down there. It's always been a good show. It is starting to fail because the people that are running it are how do I want to say, they had a good thing, and they think the mentality of them is, well, we've had this show for years, so you want to know it's going to be here. No, excuse me.
They're becoming complacent.
Yeah, you need to advertise and tell people, it's going to be going on.
People need slapped in the face with their advertisement.
That's right. So, not that I'm bragging, our show for Cherry Tree is coming up on April the 18th. I got it here. I'm not bragging, but I got 500 flyers printed up this fall, and I passed them all out. I got 500 flyers printed up in January for the gun shows this spring. I've got maybe 50 left. So out of 1,000 flyers printed up over the past 5 months, 6 months, I've given out 950. And it looks like with me having 2 more shows to go, probably if I can get my printer to friggin' work, probably gonna have to print up another 100 anyway. Not that, I'm not saying that does any good, but get them out and get them to the show, other shows, so that people can pick them up. And, but I don't see them doing that like they used to. They don't have anybody going to the shows and taking the flyers down just to do it. But going there just to do it. And then when they do, they put 5, 10, 15 flyers on the table. No, you gotta put a couple hundred on there so it can happen. If you have people that you know that go to other gun shows and going where you don't, they'll pick them up off the table. The other dealers will pick them up and take them to another show and pass them out for you.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Especially if it's a good show, they want people to show up.
Yeah, well, the dealers want people there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know,
Yeah.
the dealers want as many people through the door as they can because
Yeah.
they've got to make that money.
Yeah, so.
Money, 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 oh money, y'all.
Y'all don't make enough money, they all gonna take your property, y'all. Y'all got that now, yeah? So, getting back to those shows. Next week, I will be at Rocky Grove. Okay. Then the week after that is Hidden Valley. And then the 21st and 22nd of March, we have 2 shows. We have Harbor Creek, where I will be at, March 21st and 22nd at the Harbor Creek Fire Hall, US Route 20 up at Harbor Creek, PA. That's always been a good show. Got a lot of New Yorkers come down from there.
Oh yeah.
Come from there. Since they can't get shit up in New York because of the communist government they got,
Oh Lord have mercy.
they come
Get
down.
me started.
Yeah, they come down. Then the other one is March the 21st, also is Scott Township.
Excellent name, by the way.
Yeah, Scott Township Fire Hall. The only problem is, if you have a concealed weapon or concealed carry permit, you're not allowed to take it in loaded. That's it, Scott Township, which is a bad thing. Okay, because I've been to lots of gun shows. Oh, you put water in there?
Yeah.
Wonder why it looks so weak. Thought maybe that was the end of the can.
No, you were getting a little raspy there.
Yeah. So, anyhow, I have never been to a gun show that they've had somebody get shot. Okay? With all the guns around there, I've never seen anybody get into a fight with a gun.
You'd be a fool.
Okay? Yeah.
It's like,
Where are you going? Well, we're going to go to the gun show and rob that place. Look at all that money is going to be there.
it's like bringing a gun to an even bigger gunfight, you know, instead of a knife to a gunfight.
So, anyway, March 28th and 29th is Hidden Valley. I'm trying to get into that one, but I have not gotten any wides yet. So, Hidden Valley usually sells out. So, like I say, I haven't gotten any word on that as to whether or not I can get in there. Then April the 18th and 19th. That's the weekend after Easter, by the way. Ashtabula County Fairgrounds in Jefferson, Ohio, at their expo building. That's 127 North Elm Street. Elm. Now, unfortunately, I screwed up when I was planting Cherry Tree. I thought I had a clear weekend and I put it for April the 18th and 19th, which can't be helped now. I got too much advertisement out, and I'm going to be spending another probably $800 or $900 here in the first of or the end of this month to get the advertisement going. That's in for 18th and 19th, Cherry Tree Township Volunteer Fire Department. Now remember, folks, that's the one that benefits me. The fire hall is going to benefit from it because they have their kitchen that'll be open. They have a booth that I allow them to put out for donations, and they can run all the games of chances that they want, like 50-50s and all that. I don't know what they're going to do, but they can do all that. All I'm interested in is getting the people in the door, because I get half of the intake of the door because another guy helps me. So, if I have a good attendance, then I probably should be able to get myself. Layla! Hey, Booger! Yeah! Come on! Mommy not letting you back in for some reason or other. She's probably asleep.
Oh, Layla pissed off my dog something fierce. Off my dog something fierce.
Yeah?
I got back from the young girl and I went to the mountains last weekend. That's why I wasn't here. And I get home and our dog's excited to see me and starts hopping up and down and automatically starts sniffing my coat and my pants. And it just stops, looks up at me, walks away, and hops up on the couch and looks the other direction. Just indignant that I had the audacity to touch another dog.
Dogs can get that way sometimes. Speaking of dogs,
You're Uncle Puppy.
I had a guy come through the show that had a Rottweiler on a leash. Okay, and very well behaved dog. And he was high enough that he stood up and was able to put his chin on the table.
They're big, lovable lunkheads.
Yeah. And I was talking to the dog and, saying, hey, I know where your cousin lives, and all this kind of stuff, stretching and stuff. And the dog was looking at me, and I'm petting him on the head, and the guy gives me a doggy treat to give to the dog. So I give the dog, and it was just a little one, about the size of a quarter. And the dog took it out of the dog took it out of my hand, just as gentle as could be. What a lovable, adorable pup. Yeah, that's all I can say. So I told him, I says, Rottweilers and pit bulls get a
Very bad rap.
Bad rap. A dog is only as mean as it is taught to be. Okay? So, if you hear a story about the dog being mean, and that's because the owner or somebody trained it to be a mean dog. And people say, well, how can you train a dog to be mean? Easy. You got somebody you don't like, you give them a stick and have them come and beat the dog every day. Okay? And that dog will then
Start being awful.
and it will be mean, because, yes, sir, young man in the first row.
I have a Rottweiler story.
Uh-oh.
This is, growing up, I didn't have much experience with any other dogs except for my own, which I had a collie, Laddie. Anyway, fast forward a few years, I'm stationed over in Germany, and we're doing training where our unit was on this German woman's property. That's where we had set up in her big back field. And when we moved out, we left a full truckload of pallets and debris that we had to come back for. Well, me and Sergeant Wright were tasked with going back with our truck to pick up all the debris because the government gets fined all kinds of money for every little bit of damage. At any rate, we're out there loading up this truck, and this woman, I mean, very nice German lady. Thankfully, Sergeant Wright was married to a German woman, so he spoke a fair amount of German. She brought us out a couple of sandwiches, even some chips, and a couple of cold beers. Nice German beers, which was really, really nice. I mean, on her dinnerware, I mean, it wasn't just paper plates. So, you know, we finish up and make sure we clean up nice, and we finish, and Sergeant Wright and I go back to, and also the beer bottles over there, all the beer bottles are returnable. So we took the beer bottles and the plate back to the woman whose house was right on the corner of the property. Make sure she got her plate back and be very gracious and thankful, because it was really nice, because when you're living on MREs, any real food is, well, they have this fence probably about knee high. And as Sergeant Wright and I are walking up, this Rottweiler with the head, I swear to God, it was the size of a basketball, comes just roaring down the walk. And him and I we just both stopped. We're like, oh God, okay, this is how we're going to meet our maker. We're going to die. That dog just stopped. It was just, Barry, you guys are cool. You know, and we loved up the dog, and the woman was, you know, took her plates. But yeah, I mean, that dog looks scary as shit, like pit bulls and Rottweilers do. And a friend of mine had a pit bull, and I was always very leery because all you hear is the bad stories. I met that dog, and that dog just loves me. Every time I show up to his house, it acts like a complete spaz, jumping, and he knows how drunk I am because he throws his hip into me the more I drink. He'll actually knock me down, and then he pounces on me and just bah. But yeah, Rottweilers and pit bulls are good dogs. They're bad because they're trained to be bad.
That's right.
And all these hood rats out there, they think it's cool to have these big, aggressive dogs. No.
A couple of things from the chat room. Somebody was asking Emmy how the canned spam was out there where the store was selling out. And then Emmy says I ought to sell canned spam and toilet paper and something else, because that one has gone off the thing there. Emmy, I'm not selling spam to nobody. I'm buying it and keeping it for myself.
I like spam.
Last night, or not last night. Yeah, I think it was last night. After the gun show, the wife and I've had her pick up about 6 cans of spam this week. Okay? Because I normally have a dozen cans on the shelf, but I'm out. Because I haven't been buying to replace anything because my money has been short because of the fucking taxes. So, anyway, we started buying some spam. I said, every time we do a gun show, we make a few bucks. We're going down and buy a couple cans of spam. Well, last night we had fried spam and eggs. Dunkin' eggs, you know, dunk your toast in.
Ugh.
Oh, man, was that good.
Ugh.
And,
I hate dippy, gross eggs.
But tonight, my son brought something out for dinner for her. He wanted to try from KFC.
Oh God, he told me about these.
Okay, he brought us out chicken and donut sandwiches from KFC. You heard me right, chicken and donut. And I took one donut and I didn't make a sandwich out of it. I just set it there and I took the chicken, I cut a piece of the chicken, cut a piece of the donut, put the two together just like it would be a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Man, was that delicious.
The sweet and savory go well together.
Yeah, sweet and peppery flavor that they had on there. It went real well.
Talking about your son and food, he cooked us an awesome supper.
Okay, one of the guys that was at the gun show soliciting, collecting names for to push the movement of turning Pennsylvania into a Second Amendment sanctuary state, is listening, and he said he's enjoying the show. I'm glad you're enjoying the show, because like I told you this afternoon, it is all off the cuff or impromptu. We don't,
Nothing
script it.
scripted.
We try, but it don't work that way. And once in a while, when I take a couple minutes, Matt, I will check to see what's going on the chats, so that I can keep abreast of what the kids are thinking about. That's why I knew Emmy was talking about the spam. And by the way, you should be buying some spam, because it is a fairly inexpensive,
Protein source you can keep.
yeah, okay, and it's not, the can I had was excellent just by itself, because I always slice the stuff when I'm slicing it, I like a couple of chunks before it gets fried, or one time I put it in baked beans, spam and baked beans.
Oh, can't go wrong with that.
No, okay. Best way to do that is you take the spam and cut it up into chunks and brown it, and then put it in the baked beans. And a lot of this stuff, it's a lot of this. That Mooger?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of this stuff was developed for feeding our soldiers in World War I and World War II. Okay, that's how a lot of this stuff came about. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, it works.
I like to slice it up thin, sear it, brown it on both sides, and make a
Sandwich.
American cheese and white bread.
Yeah.
And smush it all together so it gets all that grease into the bread.
Yeah. Throw a little mustard on it.
You know what we should do? Next time we go up the mountains together, we'll use those mountain pie bakers. That'd make an ideal little treat.
Yeah, take and brown up the spam, and then throw that on there and put it in that pie maker and go with the fire.
At any rate, okay, back to what I was saying about your son.
Yeah.
I went to the mountains with him, and he took a deer roast, and on Saturday afternoon, he threw it in the crock pot and just let it cook for like 4 or 5 hours. And he kept putting water in it, so it broke down real well. He took that watery juice, mixed it with brown gravy mix, and then he broke up about half of the roast and mixed it in, put that over egg noodles. Wow, that was, I hadn't had good venison in a really long time. That was delightful.
Oh, there's all kinds of stuff. And before Mom got sick, we used to cook a lot, and I would experiment around. Well, some with different things, and so there's a lot of things you can do with stuff that sounds like garbage. You know, people, oh, it's spam, I don't want that, it's beneath me to eat that. Well, come see me in about a week after you haven't eaten anything, you'll find out how just how delicious the can of spam will be.
Yep.
So, okay. Let's get back into the idea of what the show was about, which I have no idea what it was. So,
we were talking about border security and the coronavirus and whatnot. This isn't about the coronavirus, but this is about immigration. And this is a story off of Braveheart, the website, and it's out of Denmark. It says, Denmark, 62% of young Somali migrants convicted by age 30. I'm going to read the article here. Over half of all the young migrant men from Somalia, Lebanon, and Morocco living in Denmark have been convicted of at least one crime before the age of 30. The figures come from a report by think tank Unidos that delved into crime statistics kept by the Danish Ministry of Justice and looked at the crime rates for men born between 1985 and 1987. The report found that young migrants from certain backgrounds were especially prone to criminal behavior, with 222 of the 357 Somali young men, 62% have been convicted of a crime such as violence, vandalism, and theft before the age of 30. For Lebanese migrants, the rate was 60%, and for Moroccans, the rate was 52%. Migrants from Iraq, Iran, and the former Yugoslavia saw rates of 40%. You'll notice a trend there. Somalia, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, Yugoslavia, predominantly Muslim countries. All right. In contrast, only 18% of Danish-born citizens had been convicted by 30. Ross Burke Olson, the co-founder of Unidos, commented on the results, saying, "The figures show that a very large proportion of young men from some of the major immigrant countries have been convicted of breaking criminal laws." Criminologist David Sosdal, pardon me for ruining those names, however, expressed caution at the conclusions of the study, claiming that socioeconomic factors should be examined and more research done into migrant crime statistics. Last year in June, Danish Justice Minister Søren Pape Poulsen admitted that the country had a problem with migrant criminals following a media investigation that revealed Somalian migrants were vastly overrepresented in cases of violent crime. Poulsen said the data clearly shows that there is a big problem with criminal foreigners that we should not have in our society, in certain situations to force people to Somalia if necessary. Somali migrants have also been shown to have much greater rates of welfare use and unemployment in countries like Switzerland, where more than 80% of Somalis do not work. And if you pay attention to the news, there's like a huge Somali enclave in, Minnesota, with the one representative, Omar, and she's originally from Somalia, but, I feel bad that these folks are being, coming from these horrible war-torn countries and brought into Western civilization, and they're not able to work or not willing to work, one of the two. There's just, if they don't have any kind of marketable skills, you're going to turn to crime. And it's just...
I did, there again, before my computer quit printing, I was looking at the headlines on WorldNet Daily, here yesterday or whatever, that the illegals are costing the American taxpayer approximately $60,000 a year to take care of. I'll repeat, the headline was that the American people are paying out $60,000 to take care of the illegals that are coming into this country. And I had another story I saw was from somewhere else where one of these illegals that's being housed or kept there in one of the sanctuary cities has been arrested 30 times for different crimes. But each time he gets arrested because he's an illegal and he's in one of the sanctuary things, so that ICE won't come and get him, they turn him loose. How long is it going to take before you put this guy behind bars? Because eventually, if he keeps getting away with this shit, he's going to kill somebody. Okay? You have a track record here. This guy is apparently no good. I don't care if he can't find a job here in this country. He's here illegal. Okay? And I have nothing wrong with people coming through legally. Don't be wrong. I'm not anti-immigration. I'm calling it immigration. Okay? And done in a proper way in which our government can vet these people. And that's where we need to go back to, and I know all these people down there with these tent cities that are sprung up along the border, where they're housing some of these illegals that they have caught. We need to go back to the old program of when you come in and you are isolated. You are isolated for at least 6 weeks to make sure you are not bringing in any contagious disease, number one. Number two, it gives you a chance to learn a working knowledge of English, so when you get a letter from somebody, from some business that doesn't have 29,000 different languages listed on the back on a separate sheet of paper telling you the same thing that was done in English. Okay, have you seen those?
Yes.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about. Like I said, I don't want to sound like I'm anti-immigration. I'm not anti-immigration. I'm anti-illegal immigrants coming here and costing the taxpayers billions of dollars when our own people that are here are paying a bill and basically barely pay their own taxes on their own property and whatever. Which brings me to the legal area. And I think I'll start that up at the beginning of the second hour because we are at 6 minutes to 7. So you got anything you want to say for a couple minutes?
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up, there's another article, I'm not gonna go into the full article, I'm just gonna read the headline on Breitbart. It says, Democrat demand, cancel Trump rallies over coronavirus. I'm gonna read the article in...
I've got a better idea. Let's cancel the Democratic convention because of coronavirus.
Okay. Yeah. All right, folks, we're going to take, as we normally do, about a 5 or 6 minute break. kids. Hey, thanks for the heads up. I didn't realize it didn't come on, my mic, so hopefully it's on now. And, yeah, getting back to what I was talking about here locally, and then we'll get back on to some sort of track as to what's going on nationwide. There was a tour done in Crawford County just this last week of county officials, and they come up with the figure that 27% of the property inside of Meadville is what they would call blighted. Okay? They were trying to figure out how they can come up with some funds or how to stop the blight. And I'm sitting there thinking, it's very obvious, you assholes. What put us into the blight? Okay? A couple of things that put us into the blight, but what was the biggest thing to put us into the blight? That is the inability of the people to pay the property tax and maintain their home. Because every time they did a repair, their taxes would go up. So, what do? Well, you don't repair it, then you let it fall down. Okay? Then the city and the county have to come up with a way to come up with funds to tear the building down after they blighted it. Force the people to blight. Now, for the county, they did a survey, and 44% of the property owners are paying property tax. The other 55% are paying no property tax or a greatly reduced property tax. Okay? So that means 44% is paying the bill for the other 65%. And there again, how can we help the people? You cut the number of tax-exempt properties. Now, a lot of people go, oh my God, you're talking about, look, church building, the church itself sits on a piece of property. That piece of property for the church is tax exempt. But if you buy the house across the street or on either side of you and tear it down to put a parking lot in, that is still taxed. Okay? That is still taxed. You don't get tax exempt status on it. Hospitals. The original building which the hospital is on is tax exempt. But if you buy the property across the street or next to you so that you can put in a parking lot or put in a doctor's office, I'm sorry, those properties are still taxed. Okay?
Are they not taxed now?
No. That's why it's 44% of the property owners are paying the tax for 100% of the property owners in, the county. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, now, the Meadville City Hospital does make a contribution. Allegheny makes a contribution. But I don't think, well, Westbury, I think, is making a contribution, but a lot of the other ones are not. And here's the thing, you remember, people out in our area will know what I'm talking about, where Kmart used to be. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. The guy that owned that property wanted to add on to it, but they wouldn't let him do it because of a wetlands issue. Okay? So the property deteriorated until which he finally just sold the property. Well, who bought the property? The hospital. And what did they do with that piece of property? What did they put up there? Back in the back part where he wanted to expand the mall to, which was classified as wetlands, they put up Vernon Place. That big outreach doctor's office in the test center that is part of the hospital. They bought that large acreage and they don't pay any tax on it. Because it's now tax exempt because it belongs to the hospital. Yes.
I was talking with somebody a few years ago about that whole wetlands and all that, and the spotted tree newt or whatever, one of the reasons. This person was telling me that they heard somewhere that that wetland wasn't there until they built that property.
That's right.
And then he also was saying that he has read where these environmental activists will come in and propagate species to of these endangered or protected critters, introduce them in areas where they weren't originally, just to keep them from doing any kind of. But I don't know how true that is about that.
Well, I don't know about them. They do that. I don't know if that was what was done there.
Yes.
But that is right about there was not a wetlands back there before they put the plaza in, okay?
I just remember going to Monkey Wharns. It was always fun.
Yeah. He offered that if they would let him expand in that acreage, that for every acre of so-called wetlands that he used up there, he would create 2 acres somewhere else. Okay?
No.
Oh, well, we can't do that. We just don't. That's because somebody was wanting the place, and somebody had their finger on the till, and had their finger on the pulse, and they waited until such time that he got disgusted and finally just sold the place out, and they were able to jump in on it. And somebody made a killing, and because the hospital's now got a office and testing place there, and boy, what a facility that is.
It is very nice. It's something else I remember about, this is about Vernon Township in particular. This was back in the late 90s, I learned about this. That bar Bow Rocks.
Yeah.
Up there on the hill. I was talking with the owners many moons ago, and they were wanting to expand out back, add on, but they had to get approval through the Vernon Township Commissioners, or Township Representatives, or whatever. And at the time, I don't know if they ever got approval, but they kept getting voted down. And she said, what's messed up is 3 of the 5 people that were on the board were other bar owners. So they were essentially saying, you can't improve your bar.
Because you might take business away from my bar.
Exactly. She was hot.
Yeah.
Just livid.
Yeah.
Physically not attractive, but
It doesn't matter.
I'm just saying, when I said hot, I wasn't meaning it like
Yeah.
that.
She was a businesswoman who was wanting to make her business better, to serve her customers better, because I've been in Bow Rocks.
Yeah, it's what I remember, I haven't been there a while, it's a decent place.
Yeah, it was a decent place, and it still is a decent place. I don't know how this roundabout.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask. I haven't heard anything, but I don't know. I don't talk to anybody because I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
I wonder how, because I try to avoid that whole area like the plague. I just don't want to go deal with it.
To Mr. Jones out there, no, the bear's not chasing Mr. T. Mr. T is found out that his, I think, brother-in-law has a real serious issue. And they thought it was Lyme disease, but it turns out not to be Lyme disease. And then they thought it was water on the brain,
Hydrocephaly would be the proper term for that.
yeah, which they can take and basically just put a tube in and let it drain out. But since it's not water on the brain, it's blood pools on the brain. Okay, they don't know what they can do, and he's got several, but they don't know if he could stand to have that kind of surgery done.
When you start toying around with the brain, it's...
Yeah, and so anyway, that's where he's at. He's helping his brother-in-law, because he's got horses, he's got goats, and I think he even has some cattle. So he was trying to get a farmer to come down and who has a forklift for his tractor to be able to reach some round bales of hay and bring it down to feed the critters with. So.
Oh, did you hear about the whole round bale thing? They're getting ready to outlaw those.
Oh, they are, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Do you know why?
Because somebody could hide in them.
No. Because the animals aren't getting a square meal. Oh my God! I get it.
You should have saved that for April the 1st. My God, it's too early for April Fools.
I know.
But speaking of that, if you were ever stuck out in a storm, especially a snowstorm, and it's colder than shit, and in the field just off the side of the road there were round bales of hay, if you go and dig into the center of that bale of hay, you can make yourself a nice little cozy cocoon until the weather breaks.
I've helped people move those around. If they're as big as they are, they roll pretty well.
Yeah, well, they're pretty well rounded.
They're well rounded, and they're not as unmanageable as you would think.
Yeah. No, but still, you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can take and make a little cocoon out of it and put yourself in there. And then you can take some and build a wall up to keep the cold air out, but you will still get air in there to breathe.
Oh yeah, you can
And,
make yourself safe.
yeah. So it's just something for you to remember when you're out there and you see a bale of hay, a round bale of hay, and it's, I mean, you know, you can do that. Don't think you have to sit in your car and freeze to death, because the car will suck the cold in rather than
Sure
keep it
will.
out.
You know, and what I was getting at was, those things are, normally when you see one, you see a bunch.
Yeah.
And they're easy enough to move. You could actually move those around and make yourself a nice little shelter. You wouldn't have to actually dig inside, maybe pull some out to heating and whatnot, but
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Make a
Pull
nice
out
one.
enough to crawl in there, and then that works as a gigantic heating blanket.
yeah, it does.
So, okay, enough of that shit. Let's get on with something else. We got 10 people looking for. Anyway, somebody.
Oh, by the by, I want to do something. I do this all the time at home. Whenever I started always drinking my first bourbon neat, out of respect for Mike. And I've also started giving a salute to Mike, but it's a little off-putting. So,
Well, hey, Mike knows.
Mike, fuck you.
Mike knows, because he'd be telling you the same thing if he was
Yes, he
here,
would.
if not worse.
Actually, I say fuck you, Michael. That's my exact
Yeah.
words. Boy,
That gets better with age. The more the air gets to it,
oh, so horrible.
boy. Rum! The pirates are here. We
Well,
broke out the rum, and ladies up there sitting underneath the dining room window, or family room window, looking down here, because she can hear us. Hi, Layla! Hasn't Mom let you in yet?
All right, let's see what kind of news stories we got.
Yeah,
going.
let's get going.
Okay, I'm going to start reading off the titles of the article, and then you tell me which one I'm going to read. All right, Schumer warns Trump justices on abortion. Chief Justice dubs remarks dangerous. Democrat lawmaker wishes coronavirus on Trump supporters. Court orders school to explain punishing students over activities at home. Government, not a good parent. Male teacher campaigns to share restroom with little girls. You should see the picture of this dude. Oh my.
Hang that bastard.
Court backs Trump in sanctuary cities grant fight. God and Guns, the foundation of our nation. And I don't want to read that one. That's too big. Which one should I read?
Go ahead, you got him.
No, I need your input.
What's on top of the pile?
I don't want to read that.
Okay, then go to the next one underneath here.
I don't want to read that one either.
All right, then go deeper.
I'll read the top one. Forgive me, my nose is all plugged up. I didn't spray it earlier. All right, this is from Newsmax. Schumer warns Trump justices on abortion. Chief Justice dubs remarks dangerous. This is a couple days old, so forgive me. It's by Jan Wolfe. Top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer assailed President Donald Trump's two Supreme Court appointees on Wednesday, suggesting that Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch won't know what hit them if they rule in favor of abortion restrictions. The comments drew an instant rebuke from several critics who viewed them as thuggish and excessive. Perhaps foremost among them was Supreme Court Justice John Roberts, who dubbed the remarks dangerous according to The Hill. Schumer's remarks made during an abortion rights rally held while the 9-member court heard arguments in a major abortion case from Louisiana were criticized by conservative allies of Trump. Did Senate Democrat leader Schumer just threaten 2 conservative justices? Where is the media? Republican Representative Mark Meadows asked on Twitter. In his speech, Schumer noted that it was the Supreme Court's first major abortion case since Trump appointed Kavanaugh in 2018 and Gorsuch in 2017. The crowd jeered when Schumer mentioned the names of the 2 conservative justices. Republican-led state legislatures are waging a war on women, Schumer said, by passing restrictive abortion laws. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions, Schumer told the cheering crowd. Schumer spokesman Justin Goodman said the email the senator was referring to the political price Republicans will pay for putting Kavanaugh and Gorsuch on the court, and warning that justices will unleash a major grassroots movement on the issue of reproductive rights against the decision. Critics were quick to pounce on the minority leader's comments. One was Chief Justice Roberts. As The Hill reported, he said in a statement, "Justices know that criticism comes with the territory, but threatening statements of this sort from the highest levels of government are not only inappropriate, they are dangerous. All members of the court will continue to do their job without fear of or favor from whatever quarter." Also critical was David Rivkin, who served at the Justice Department and in the White House counsel's office during the Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush administrations. "This is an outrageous statement that amounts to a threat against sitting Supreme Court justices," he said. "It is designed to intimidate them. This behavior cannot be countenanced. Indeed, it has to be condensed as an unconstitutional conduct." Carrie Severino, president of the Judicial Crisis Network, tweeted more bluntly, "What price will they pay? Money, physical abuse, threats on their lives, more smear campaigns? If anything happens to Justice Gorsuch or Kavanaugh, we should assume it's at Senator Schumer's mafia at work, who will rid me of these meddlesome justices." And political commentator Ed Whelan posted on National Review that Schumer was thuggishly threatening the justices. Why is Senator Schumer making comments that sure seem to threaten violence against 2 Supreme Court justices, and that, at a minimum, certainly can reasonably be interpreted that way, if they don't rule as he wishes? Why, for that matter, is he addressing 2 Supreme Court justices by their last names and not even extending them the honorific of justice? Democrats have criticized Trump's frequent attacks on the U.S. judiciary and individual judges, including the one who presided over the trial of his longtime advisor Roger Stone. Trump, on February 25th, turned his ire on liberal Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sonia Sotomayor, calling for them to recuse themselves from any cases involving him or his administration. Activists supporting and opposing abortion rights demonstrated outside the court. "I remember a time when abortion wasn't legal. It was illegal when I was a teenager, and we aren't going back. We're just not going back," said demonstrator Bambi Nell, 62, of Maryland. "My mother had an illegal abortion before I was born, coat hanger variety, and it darn near killed her. She had me after that." Anti-abortion activists are hoping the Supreme Court, with its 5-4 conservative majority, including Trump's 2 appointees, will scale back or even overturn the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling that legalized abortion nationwide. They held their own rally featuring remarks by Republican lawmakers. Some demonstrators held flags emblazoned with Bible quotes and the image of a bald eagle, a symbol of America, carrying a Christian cross. Others stood silently with red tape over their mouths with the word "life" in black letters. Demonstrator Dennis McCarhan, 75, of Ohio, said abortion rights supporters were distorting what God intended. "When that baby is a seed in the womb, scientifically it's going to be a baby, and you can't stop that or you're killing that baby," McCarran said. I don't know what your thoughts are on abortion. I kind of figure, but
I am against abortion because it's not a health issue. Okay. Now, I'm not saying it can't be a health issue, where the mother might have problems delivering and surviving a birth, because that has happened in the past. And but I'm against abortion because, like I said, you're killing somebody. You are killing somebody, especially now that they're allowing late term or partial birth abortion. Okay. You are killing somebody, and what do they do with murderers? They put them in prison, don't they? So if you're killing your baby, you're committing a crime, not only against mankind, but against the Lord. Of course, maybe you don't believe in God. Well, that's fine. You're going to find out someday when you go up to the pearly gates and St. Peter is there and you say, I'm sorry, I did not believe in God and all that kind of stuff, and he's going to tell you, well, then you go to hell. And there's the elevator.
my thought on the whole abortion issue, I'm torn. One, it's women's rights. You know, it's your body. You do what you feel is right. But on the same token, how many people out there want children that can't have them, and they end up bringing over these babies from Russia, Korea, yada yada yada.
Philippines, you name it, everywhere.
I mean, there's these third world countries that, you know, they adopt these children. Why not do it from your own backyard? You know, why not, instead of having these anti-abortion rallies, use that energy to put together a grassroots campaign, a non-profit group that puts mothers with pregnancies that they can't deal with for whatever reason, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith who can't have children for whatever reason, or don't want to bring another baby into this world when they know that they can adopt. Put those two people together and have them work it out.
Because you have roughly 9 months to get that accomplished.
Yeah, there's, you have time.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's, like I said, it is murder. There is one time, like I said, there's only two exceptions that I go along with. Is number one, it's if the birth is going to cause problems with the mother, especially since she already has 2 or 3 or 4 kids. You follow what I'm saying? Her health is going to be affected by it, and her ability to take care of the other children is going to be affected by it. But there again, that comes to play. Go ahead and have the baby and put it up for adoption right away and have that all lined up to go when the baby is done, so that the baby goes right from her to them within just a few minutes of birth. All right? The other is in case, I know it sounds hard-lined, the other is in case of incest or rape. Okay? I don't think you should be forced to, if you were raped by somebody, I don't believe you should be forced to take care of a child that you did not plan to have or whatever because it was forced upon you. Incest is the same thing. And when people start talking about incest, well, that means the father. No, it don't necessarily mean the father. It could be your brother. Or it could be the other way around. It could be your sister. You know what I'm saying? And so you don't want the responsibility to take care of something that you were not a willing partner in. Now, if you're a willing partner and can't keep your legs closed because you're not married, okay, then I'm sorry, you're going to have to grin and bear it. So, be that as may, I don't want to get into that subject because there are so many people out there who say, well.
It is a hotbed issue that...
Well, they think, see,
this is where I bring in, and a lot of people look at me strange. This is when you need to turn to the Lord. Okay? These people who are going in and having these abortions cannot be asking the Lord for a decision to help them, because if it was his decision to do that, goes contrary to everything that I have been taught as a supposed Christian. Like I said, I'm not a perfect Christian. I'm work in progress. Mike and I used to say that all the time. We're work in progress. And if we were perfect, then Jesus wouldn't have to come back again. So, but the thing of it is, they cannot have a deep root understanding of the Lord if they're going through with these abortions. Some of it's an emotional answer or reaction. So, anyway, hey, that's cool. That punch,
Yeah?
along with that shot of rum.
Make you
Hi!
They're a little loopy.
Hi guys, how y'all doing out
I
there?
can tell your face is a little flush.
Yeah. So anyway, this goes to show you the overreaching of government entities. The school board is a government entity. It's a non what do they call it? NGO, non-governing organization.
Is that what NGO stands for?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
Non-governmental organization, but they oversee the running of a particular school district. Okay. Well, this shows you how they are following the government's path of overreaching their authority. Okay, and this comes out of Michigan.
Real quick.
Yo!
It would take 30 seconds.
Yo!
Jack Flash, Mr. Wittenberg, by the by, we are now Facebook friends. You're welcome. You're now in my life and I'm in yours.
Oh boy, are you in trouble now?
I am.
No, him. Not you, him.
I think we're both. All right, you were saying.
Okay. Yeah, school boards overstepping their reach and their bounds and authority. It comes out of Michigan.
Michigan.
Michigan, and this is off of World Net Daily. A court in Michigan has ordered a school district to explain why it punished students for legal actions done outside of school time in their own home. Repeat that. Outside the school time and in their own home. The order came after lawyers for students at Saline High School in Saline, Michigan, and their parents filed a motion for restraining order and preliminary injunction seeking to halt the punishment. The Saline Area School District in Saline, Michigan suspended 4 students for what it is described as an offensive conversation on Snapchat. Well, what the hell is the school board reading the Snapchat for? Okay? You're spying on your kids. Well, obviously, because they suspended 4 of them because of what they said. Maybe it wasn't nice. I don't know. But that's not the point.
Just to throw in there, if they're not making threatening, I mean, like, something that will affect, if they're being mean, that's what kids are.
If they're not threatening to do anything in school or on school property, then the school business has no business stepping in and looking at their snap book. Okay, the Snapchat occurred on Sunday evening between friends and acquaintances, said lawyer David Kelman, who is representing the students and their parents. African American and Christian or Caucasian children, he said, were using inappropriate and offensive language in a joking manner and in the context of immature banter among friends. That happens. Even as adults, you do stuff like that, you know what I mean? And maybe not as often as kids did, but, I know we did that, But we didn't have Snapchat, we just erased your face.
Yeah.
Okay, so, the conversation did not occur at the school, at a school event, or on any school equipment said Kellerman, while all the children were embarrassed by their language, it does not justify the school rush to judgment and overreaction. 2 of the suspended students have been allowed to return to school, but they continue to be punished with bans on participating in many school activities. Well, Mr. School Activity, fuck you. You know, Coleman argued courts that have ruled that whilst public schools are not run as democracies, neither are they run as Stalinist regimes. Right. Students do have First Amendment rights, and the school officials do not have an unfeathered authority to regulate student speech. Got something in my eye.
Where's your finger?
No, that was before my finger got there.
Okay.
Let's see. He said the punishment for students for lewd speech and profanity used during the school, but the Supreme Court made it clear that schools have no power to punish lewd or profane out-of-school speech. The lawyer noted that the district claims the school was disrupted by the students' speech. How? If they were not on school property and they're not during school hours, how could they be disruptive to the school? Kiss my ass. And that's only because some adult has some burr.
Well, if it's such a horrible issue, and nobody was hurt, okay, and I can see if somebody was hurt, maybe school stepping in. But, you know, why not use it as a teaching moment? I'm guessing it was probably something racial.
I'm guessing, but I'm
just guessing, you know.
They haven't got to it, so.
So, you know, let's just say, for instance, it was something racial. Why not bring in a couple of black pastors, or, you know, the offended minority group, be it black, white, whatever, and try to show these kids how what you said was wrong. It was awful. But don't punish them, because don't demonize, de-emphasize, and
Well, first of all, you're right. Somebody should come in and show them they're wrong, not the school. When it's on, if it was on school property, then they have.
I'm just saying, if the school's not upset about it,
Yeah, the
let's
school should
work
have-
together.
Yeah, the school should have notified the parents that these kids were doing that, because somebody notified the school that was doing that. Then the parents go and get somebody from, go to their church. Did I say that dirty word again?
Or mosque, or
Yeah, whatever.
Or
And get
synagogue, or
somebody
whatever.
come and talk to these kids and don't make them a criminal, okay? And don't make a big case out of it, because if you do that, some kids will do stuff just to get attention, okay? Especially if they come from a sort of a broken home type of
Sure.
situation. They will do that, but you find out the underlying reasons why they did that, and then you try to help them out of that. Okay? But suspending them for 4 or 5 days because they made some off-colored remark, that'd be like putting you in jail down at the Crawford County Courthouse because of some of the stuff you may have said at one time or another. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah, that.
yes.
Anyway, let's see. However, no school should be permitted to manufacture its own self-described disruption in order to sanction out-of-school speech it may find offensive, he argued. Defendants cannot simultaneously issue public media statements holding public meetings on the issue, call out its own students racist, and complain about the disruption, the media attention, and public interest in the Snapchat has caused. Coleman explained that the parents have made numerous efforts to resolve the situation and avoid litigation. Okay, the plaintiff and their parents initiated multiple conversations with defendants prior to filing the lawsuit to resolve the matter and reinstate the children. Defendants refused, he said. Plaintiff waited to file the motion for injunctive relief to give defendants an opportunity to meet with their counsel and reconsider their position. Plaintiff's counsel met with defendant Celine superintendent guardian to make a final effort to have all children fully reinstated to school. Defendants refused. The objective of the lawsuit is to lift the school's punishment. It asks that the students be returned to school and full school activities, and that the district stops continuing to improperly punish plaintiffs in violation of their constitutional rights. U.S. District Judge Paul Brown has ordered his district to answer within a few days. The students are also asking for declaratory judgment, damages, and injunction relief for the violation of their constitutional rights to due process and freedom of speech. What kind of discipline? And then we'll move on. Coleman said the case boils down to a simple question. When a child misbehaves at home, who disciplines? The local public school or the parent? Now you're getting to the point. It's up to the parents to do the punishing because they're not in school. If a child gets stopped for drunk driving on a Saturday night, does the school have the right to expel the student? The answer is obviously no. The conversation of these students had nothing to do with school. It has no authority to discipline students for out-of-school misbehavior. It goes way back to what the guy was saying. If a kid misbehaves out of school, it's the parents that have to see to the disciplining of that child. Okay, the students are not named in the complaint. Defendants include the school board, Superintendent Scott Garden, Assistant Superintendent Steve Laddish, Principal David Raft, Assistant Principal Joe Paluca. You're kidding me. Joe Paluca, the cartoon character.
I was wondering.
And Assistant Principal Theresa Stagger. Yeah, we figured out what it is. The complaint states the foundation of core of our constitutional republic is that the state cannot punish its citizens for engaging in speech that is protected by the First Amendment, just as citizens cannot be criminally punished for projected speech. A public school cannot discipline speech that falls within the limits of the First Amendment. Police grilled students without notifying them of a possible penalty, and the school issued a statement to the entire community that children were guilty of an act of racism. Finally, but now what was the comment? And created harm to all our students, especially student color. A school charged with students with hate, prejudice, and racism. Okay, now we're getting down to the deals of this. District official discipline declined to respond to WorldNet Daily request for racism. That is, that rum and punch has got a little bit of a punch to it.
Yeah, it's good, strong stuff.
A new request to the court explains that the plaintiffs are likely to succeed on the merits of their claim, and they will suffer irreparable harm unless the request for relief is granted. The government has no legal considerable interest in suppressing the issue of constitutional rights. The filing explains, accordingly, no harm to the defendants should result from granting a request injunctive relief. The bottom line is the district acted outside the scopes of their authority by disciplining children for speech that occurred at home over the weekend and was not related to the school in any way. Now, this goes to show you that anything that you can say, or anything that you say, can be construed by somebody to be racist if they want to do that. Okay? These kids may have said something that was off color, reflecting to the color of some of the students, or they were talking about a student who'd done something stupid and how he happened to be whatever. They don't have the conversation here, just that they're alluding to that it was racist and hate speech. And
Hell, anymore, even stuff that's not actually overtly racist, that's one of the things that, you know, if someone starts losing an argument regarding that particular topic, bam, you're racist. And, you know, how do you go...
go ahead, finish.
Like, once that's bandied about, you can't unsay a word, and you're screwed.
Scotty, you put in Big D's getting a little loopy, and Mr. Jones, Mr. Scott, you're just noticing.
Oh yeah.
Hey, there was a time, kids, and Scotty can testify to this, I could drink almost everybody under the table. And, but after several of these illnesses, I just don't do it anymore. And you know what? I have the tendency that when I don't do it, I enjoy it more. Because it hits me. I don't have to drink so much to get to the point.
Before my weight loss and belly surgery and all that, sitting down and drinking 25, 30 cans of beer in a session wasn't out of the way anymore. Mind you, I'm drinking a better quality booze, except for that Steel Reserve. That's garbage. But it's tasty garbage, but it's garbage nonetheless. I mean, you can attest to this. I mean, a couple of cocktails in, I'm saying, I'm ready to go home. I'm going to go to bed. That's why I bring this water.
Okay, Jack, if the people are asking you what they need to do for preparations, even though they are late, you tell them there are about 3 or 4 things they must get. They must get food. If they don't have the wherewithal or the money to buy a lot of the dried prepared foods because it's pricey, then they go to the grocery store and you get Spam, you get canned chicken, you get tuna fish. There are some stews, canned stews, and other meals already prepared in a can. Of course, it takes more space, but that can will not dissipate by the expiration date. As long as it is not punctured, that can will stay there for quite a few years. May lose some of its natural flavor as such, but
Protein is protein.
yeah, but it's food. It's put in here to tell this that you had something here. The next thing is buy ammunition. You cannot have enough ammo. If you got a doctor that will cooperate and you have the money, get him to write you some prescriptions to get a large supply of the particular drugs that you need. You must have. There are some that you must have, some you could probably do better off without. Magazines. If you don't have a gun, buy a gun. And if you buy a gun, make sure you get about 10 to 20 magazines for it. You don't have to do this all at one time. But what you need to do is get off your butt and go to the gun shows where you can pick up everything there but the food. Some places have dried food. Okay, some of the bigger shows have a distributor there. You got to remember this. Not only are the people in other parts of the country buying the dried food, So is the government. There's only one company that I know of, and Alex Jones promotes them a lot on their show. They will not sell their dried food to the government. You know, they will only sell it to the individual. And they are continuing to take orders until they reach the number that's going to use up their supplies. And once that's done, they will not produce anymore until they are able to get more. So, in the meantime, it goes back to buying more beans and bandages and medical supplies, alcohol and hydrogen peroxide for one to help clean wounds and disinfect it.
I had a conversation when I was in college many years ago with a guy who was, he probably still is filling his basement with prepping stuff. And I was saying, you know, like, as a college student, I can't afford to, you know, do what you do. He's like, but how much is a toothbrush? Can you afford to buy, you know, he's like, buy something every week, you know, a box of 30-30. Even if you don't have the weapon per se, but you know, when push comes to shove, John Smith down the road, he's got a full pantry. He's got a 30-30. He might not have enough ammo. You know.
He might give you a loaf of bread for that.
Yeah, you know, buy toothbrushes. You can get a toothbrush for 95 cents.
Used to be if you wanted to have a supply for barter with cigarettes. Okay. But I've always said 22 long rifle, ballistic wampum. Even if you don't have a 22, you buy 22 long rifle and you put it aside. That box of 22 long rifle might get you a gallon of gasoline to help you get out of Dodge.
Yep, there's always something to barter with.
Yeah.
Somebody needs something.
Yeah. So, I know you say, well, gee, you can't get everything. No, you can't get everything, but you do specialize on getting the basics to be able to survive.
The 3 B's, bullets, bandages, and beams.
Yeah. Precious metal, lead, copper, brass, and blue steel.
Brandy. Throw brandy in there as well.
Yeah, booze was another thing that they said, because people, after they get to a certain point and they're tired of all the bullshit, they want to get relief. A good fifth of whiskey will give them a nice relief for a while.
And also, you can sanitize things with it.
And if you have a hideaway, and there are several people there, I will tell you this right now. You make up some survival survival ditches, or not ditches, pantries that are made up of you take a waterproof container and you put some ammo in it, you put some food in it, and some water, and you bury it in the ground. And you bury it within sight of your home base. That way, if you're out doing your patrol and you get captured by another group of people and say, hey, I can lead you to a stash of food. You follow what I'm saying?
Follow what you're saying.
You lead them to that stash of food that you've put out there specifically for one reason, to protect your ass, because when you come up to that, your observers in your area can see you coming, and they see you got a bunch of strangers, they can respond in kind. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, and if you are going there because and your weapon has been relieved from you, and you're leading them to that spot, then that's a sign for your allies that you're in a distress situation. They come to rescue, take care of the problem. Bingo. Food, bait. Food, bait. You follow what I'm saying? It just might get your ass out of the sling. And another thing that you can do, I got this out of the Swiss Army manual. Another thing you can do is if there's a problem, one of your people are out and a bunch of bad dudes follow to try and get to where your base supply is. You have your first response in returning fire in 22s. Okay? And the reason for using 22s is that will, with the situation, the heat of the situation, these people are thinking, well, gee, all they have are 22s for protection. We've got the bigger guns. So because they got 22s and they underestimate the power of 22, they're going to close in on you. Let them close in, just continue. Then when you get to be about 50 to 75 yards away, you open up with the big stuff. Okay, again, you sucker them in.
Or you just use a 22 and make a very tactically place shot right between the eyes.
You can do that,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I know what you get out of
the
it.
thing of it is, they're not going to respect the 22. And they will be able to tell by the report that it's a 22.
Certainly.
So you make them think that that's all you got is a bunch of 22s. They're going to they're going to forget the stealth and tactical move and try to close in on you in a mob. And so, I'm just saying, these are things that you need to think about and plan about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. If you're going to stay in the big city, then you better bunker up your house, make it into a concrete bunker with sandbag lining on the inside and the outside to stop any fragments that might come through the concrete.
18 inches of overhead cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is 3 sandbags.
Yeah. So, but you follow because you've been in the military. There's a lot of people out there who've never been in the military. So this is what you need. These are some of the basics. Get the survival manual made by some foreign countries like Switzerland and Sweden and that, because they've had to deal with communist insurgency. Finland, for example, before World War II broke out with the Germans, Russia thought the Soviet Union was going to take over Finland. And the Finnish, using captured weaponry, were able to defeat the Russians. A country that was 100 times bigger and more powerful was able to drive them back. And
Here's something interesting, just you mentioning manuals. Old school Boy Scout manuals, Boy Scout books. There's all kinds of interesting little
yes,
tidbits in there. I don't know about it anymore. I know that when we were in many years ago, they were starting to get away from the rustic, and they wanted the no impact camping.
Yeah. Use a little portable gas range to do your cooking on instead of building a fire and all
But
that.
there's all kinds of lashing techniques for building shelters, first aid techniques, how to cook food, how to procure food, what plants to eat, stay away from. It's not next level, hardcore training, but I mean, you can pick old Boy Scout manuals up in gun shows. There's always a guy selling a bunch of books and weird shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. All kinds. Whoa! 5 minutes to go.
5 minutes to go.
You can build yourself a shelter out in the middle of the woods. Now, how would you do that? Would you build it out there away from a couple trees, or would you build it underneath a couple of trees? You build it underneath the trees, because that works as you're using the tree for support, and gives you a canopy to keep part of the storm away, and you put your top on whatever you're going to do. You put pine branches with needles on it, then you put a layer of leaves, then you put another layer of pine branches to keep the leaves there, then you even go and put another layer of leaves on it and another layer of pine branches to keep the leaves in, and then you build yourself a small fire, not a big one, but you can build yourself a small fire underneath there, and as it goes up, the smoke goes up through the pine trees, it will be dissipated, make it harder to spot. So, I mean, these are all little things that you need to think about. Anyway, on that note, any closing thoughts there,
I
Mr.
just want
What?
two things. I want to talk about a shelter, easy shelter you can make. Find a tree with a V, I'd say about maybe 6, 8, 10 feet high. Take another a big heavy branch, drop it down into that, and then layer smaller branches on either side of it. It's not a log cabin, but you can put a small entrance, keep a fire, like you can put the leaves, you know, it's good for, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 people to stay warm out of the weather.
And if you have a vehicle, you should always have a space blanket, you should have a canteen of water, you should have fire starting utensils, a couple of candles, okay, and a poncho, because a poncho can be made into a small pup tent.
You can get those vinyl ponchos at like Walmart or dollar store, they're really cheap. So you just toss a couple, 3 of them in there. You may not even need to use that as a shelter, but you can line a shelter with that.
Yeah,
Put things on top of it.
line it, you know, sleep on
All right.
top.
22 veterans a day, that's the other thing I wanted to say. 22 veterans a day are taking their own life. Look out for your brothers and sisters.
On that note, effective range of a good rifle is 500 yards, depending on the caliber. You go with a 30-06, you got 12 to 1,500 yards. Just remember that, 12 to 1,500 yards. The weaponry right now, they're using the 2 to 300. They're using now like the 5.56. I know the military's trying to switch over to a new caliber. That's good to about 500-600 yards. You want to have a battery of larger calibers that will reach out further and give them a long-distance phone call. Say, hello! Even if you don't hit them, it makes them wonder where the hell that shot came from because you're so far away. Eventually the report will get there after the bullet does. But 1,500 yards, a 30-06 will carry and do quite nice. Bigger, 50 caliber, but who's got the money for 50 anymore? So just remember that. The bigger the caliber, the further it's going to shoot. Unless you get to the big ones, like I have a 375 HH Magnum. Okay, it's not a long-range gun because it shoots such a heavy bullet, but
It'll turn a moose's asshole inside out.
yeah, it'll give an enema from the front end. So at that point, kids, I hate to say goodbye, but I'm tired.
I'm ready to go home.
Scotty's ready to go home. I'm ready to go home. So we'll see you next week, Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. And be careful out there.
Later.